So you're practicing every day, maybe for months, maybe even years, but you're still stuck. Maybe you're still translating English in your head, using a dictionary. You hesitate to speak. Why? Today, I'm going to reveal the secret that keeps most English learners stuck. Stuck at the intermediate level. Stuck feeling like they're not able to participate in the conversations they want to with native English speakers or other fluent English speakers. Even if you're motivated, a lot of English learners get stuck at the intermediate level. But fixing this one mistake changes everything. But remember, this one mistake is not everything you need. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the other thing that you need. And if you haven't watched the first video in this series yet, go back and check it out. I will link to it in the pinned comment. It's called The #1 Secret to English Fluency. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Have you ever, for example, watched Netflix in English or a movie in English or your favorite TV show in English and thought, I understand pretty much everything. I must be fluent in English. Well, I'm sorry to say, but that is not true fluency because it's passive. If you're just listening to English conversation, but you cannot speak, this is not true fluency. Same is true if you can read a book or you understand your English textbook. Well, that's great, but it's not full true fluency. It's just passive. When you are consuming information through reading or listening, that is passive. When we say active learning, we mean speaking, we mean writing. So until you're able to do those things really comfortably, then you're not fluent. And the problem is most English learners stay in passive learning mode, but it's not your fault. This is a product of the way English is taught in most classrooms in most countries around the world. You're sitting in a classroom listening to your teacher, or the teacher says, read these pages in your textbook, and you're not truly using English as much as you are consuming it. Think about it. In your English class, you probably listen to your teacher 95% of the time, and maybe 5% of the time you get to practice. Or practice time is left for your homework, and you don't really have a lot of free time to devote to your homework, or maybe you forget it. And so you just are not using English as actively as you need to be. So you're watching videos, you're reading articles, you're listening to podcasts. And these are all good things, but if you're never actually using English, meaning speaking it, writing it, it feels like progress, but it doesn't create true English fluency. It's a lot like watching workout videos on YouTube. It doesn't make you fit. Or watching cleaning videos on TikTok, which are so satisfying, but yet your home is still dirty. I had a student from Japan named Yuki. She loved watching dramas. She knew thousands of words in her passive English vocabulary, but when it was time to speak, she froze. Why? Because her brain was used to recognition, understanding words, but not producing them. She couldn't recall the words she wanted to use when it was time to speak up in a conversation. She hesitated big time. So she could understand a lot, but she could not produce the language. So everyone thought that she was a beginner in English, but the reality was her vocabulary was huge. Her understanding of English was advanced. So when she started recording herself speaking for just a couple minutes every day, even just something simple like describing her lunch, her fluency improved. It shot up in just a couple weeks. So that's the difference between passive and active. And in that example, with her recording herself, she didn't even need to take an expensive class or find a tutor or a native speaker to practice with. Those would all be nice, but I'm telling you, you have the power and control to start using English actively all by yourself. So why do we fall into this trap of passive English learning? Schools reward silence, memorization, read, memorize, test. And it's all within a short period of time, maybe 2 to 3 months. And then you can forget it because you're not going to use it on the next test. And passive study feels safe. There's no mistakes, there's no embarrassment. You're simply understanding, internalizing, and you can nod, I understand. But you're not actually using English. You're not putting yourself at risk of making mistakes. But let me tell you, mistakes are where growth happens. And passive English learning even feels productive. You can check off studied English if you listened to an English podcast for 15 minutes. And all this without the discomfort, going outside of your comfort zone and speaking English, maybe making mistakes. But real growth and real fluency don't live inside your comfort zone. So how do we fix this? We need to shift into active English mode, active practice mode. We can do this in several ways. Here are a few. English shadowing. This is where you listen to something in English, like a podcast, a TV show, a YouTube video, any number of things. It could be music too. And as soon as you hear what is said in English, you repeat it, just like a shadow. You're right behind that English speaker. So you're repeating after the native English speaker, just like an echo. And you can use this next idea with the first idea. You can record yourself speaking. You could record yourself shadowing. You could record yourself speaking alone as well. Have a conversation with a teacher, a partner, or even an AI app. And writing. Writing is so helpful. You can write daily reflections like a journal or a to-do list in English. You can even prepare something that you would like to say and record yourself by writing it first. So the key here is to produce English, not just consume it. Think about food. We all like food, right? It's the difference between going to a restaurant and eating that meal and enjoying it and cooking at home. You need to know how to cook up a good English conversation. All right, now let's train your brain to get ready to be active in English. Repeat after me. I'm ready to use my English. I'm ready to use my English. Another. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to practice. Again. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to practice. How did that feel? More active, right? If you said these phrases with me or after me, you are starting to practice English actively. To make this easy, I created a checklist for you, including shadowing, recording, journaling, conversations. Download it for free. The link is in the pinned comment, or you can get it at gonaturalelenglish.com/free lessons. And if you want more structure and guidance for active English practice, you can join our new course, English Insiders. Practice live with a Go Natural English teacher and your classmates. This will push you outside of your comfort zone and let you know exactly what to do every day to become fluent. So there's no guessing, no doubts, and we're here to support you, and maybe you'll make some new friends too. So again, here's the hidden mistake. Staying passive, reading and listening without producing English. Fluency comes from using English every day. But there's still one more problem. Even if you're consistent and active, you might still hesitate. You might still think in your native language before speaking. And that is what I'm going to talk about in the next video. How to really think in English like a native, fluent English speaker. That's where the final key comes in. And I'll share it in the next video. Be sure to subscribe and watch for the next video next week. I'll see you there. Bye for now.